The alarms screamed through the towering glass headquarters just after sunrise. Every monitor inside the company's command center flashed a terrifying red warning. Financial data disappeared, security systems froze, clients across the country lost access, and billions of dollars seemed ready to vanish within minutes. The CEO stood frozen, surrounded by frightened executives and expensive consultants who had no answers. Hope faded from every face, until an unnoticed teenage boy quietly walked toward a laptop, placed his fingers on the keyboard, and changed everyone's lives forever. Before we begin this unforgettable story, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance and that true talent can come from anywhere, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Beyond the Verdict. Your support helps us continue bringing powerful stories that inspire hearts around the world. It was a bright Monday morning, and the city sparkled beneath the warm daylight. Inside one of the largest technology companies in the country, CEO Victor Ashcroft had prepared for what should have been the biggest business presentation of his career. Investors from around the world were arriving to witness the launch of a revolutionary artificial intelligence platform that had taken nearly 5 years to build. Every employee wore confident smiles, every conference room was polished to perfection, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Yet behind the scenes, another person had started her day much earlier. Marlene Brooks quietly cleaned the executive floor before sunrise, just as she had done for nearly 11 years. Most executives barely noticed her presence. She simply smiled, worked with dignity, and returned home every evening exhausted but grateful for another day's work. Her greatest dream was not wealth for herself but a better future for her only son, 17-year-old Elias Brooks. Elias had always been different. While other teenagers spent hours scrolling through social media or playing games, he spent every spare minute studying computer programming using free online resources and outdated library books. Their tiny apartment barely had reliable internet, and his old second-hand laptop often overheated, but his determination never faded. Every challenge only pushed him to learn more. His mother often apologized for not being able to afford expensive schools, yet Elias always reminded her that knowledge was never limited by money. That particular morning, Elias accompanied his mother because his school holiday had begun. He quietly waited in the employee lounge while Marlene finished cleaning nearby offices. Curious, he admired the massive building filled with advanced technology he had only seen in magazines. Everything changed just after 9 o'clock. Suddenly, emergency alarms echoed through every hallway. Employees rushed toward the operations center as giant digital displays turned bright red. A sophisticated cyber attack had crippled the company's entire network moments before the international presentation. Every backup server appeared locked. Customer information became inaccessible. Billions in contracts hung by a thread. Victor Ashcroft stared helplessly at the disaster unfolding before him. Some of the world's highest-paid cybersecurity experts joined emergency conference calls, yet every attempted solution failed. Minutes passed like hours. Investors waited impatiently downstairs while news of the technical failure threatened to destroy years of hard work and the company's reputation. Fear spread across every department. Standing quietly outside the conference room, Elias watched engineers argue while expensive consultants blamed one another. He noticed something unusual on one diagnostic screen visible through the glass wall. It wasn't random destruction. Hidden beneath layers of malicious code, he recognized a programming pattern remarkably similar to an open-source vulnerability he had studied months earlier during countless late nights. His heart raced. He knew nobody would believe a teenager wearing ordinary clothes, especially one known only as the cleaning lady's son. Still, he couldn't ignore what he had seen. Marlene gently tried to pull her son away, worried that someone might misunderstand his curiosity. She had spent years avoiding attention, believing silence protected both of them from embarrassment. But before they reached the elevator, one exhausted engineer collapsed into a chair after another failed recovery attempt. Gathering every ounce of courage, Elias respectfully asked whether he could simply examine the system logs. Several executives frowned immediately. Others exchanged amused smiles. Some couldn't believe that a teenager had interrupted a room full of elite professionals. Victor himself barely looked up. He had already lost confidence in everyone around him. With nothing left to lose, he quietly nodded. The room fell strangely silent as Elias sat before one of the workstations. His fingers moved calmly across the keyboard, not hurried, not dramatic, simply focused. Instead of attacking the damaged files directly, he isolated a hidden communication loop buried inside the corrupted authentication process. He recognized that the attackers had expected engineers to chase the visible damage while ignoring the true source controlling every failed recovery. Within seconds, new commands appeared across multiple screens. One by one, frozen servers came back online. Critical databases unlocked. Security gateways stabilized. Backup systems synchronized automatically. The terrifying red warning lights slowly disappeared. Then, almost unbelievably, every monitor returned to normal. The operations center erupted into complete silence before exploding into cheers. Employees stared at Elias in disbelief. Some engineers reviewed his work repeatedly, unable to understand how someone so young had identified the solution almost instantly when experienced specialists had struggled for over an hour. Victor slowly walked toward the teenager whose quiet confidence had saved everything he had spent decades building. For the first time that morning, hope returned to his face. But as everyone celebrated, Victor noticed something even more powerful than technical brilliance. Elias never acted proud. He never mocked the professionals who had failed. He simply stood up, thanked them for allowing him to help, and prepared to leave beside his mother as though nothing extraordinary had happened. That humility struck Victor harder than the crisis itself. Later that afternoon, after investigators confirmed that Elias had prevented losses worth hundreds of millions of dollars, Victor requested a private meeting with both mother and son. Listening to Marlene describe years of sacrifice filled the room with quiet emotion. She spoke of working double shifts, repairing old school uniforms by hand, skipping meals so her son could afford books, and believing that honesty mattered more than comfort. Every achievement Elias had earned came through determination, not privilege. Victor realized something painful. His company invested millions searching for extraordinary talent while overlooking incredible people walking through its own hallways every single day. That realization changed the culture of the entire organization. Victor immediately created scholarships for children of every employee regardless of position. Internship programs opened for students from struggling communities. Hiring practices shifted toward demonstrated ability instead of expensive degrees alone. As for Elias, he accepted an educational sponsorship rather than a luxury reward. His first request surprised everyone. Instead of asking for money, he asked that his mother never have to clean another office again. Weeks later, Marlene began working in the company's community education department, helping families whose children dreamed of brighter futures just as her son once had. Months passed, and the story spread far beyond the company walls. Newspapers celebrated the teenager who saved a corporation, but those who truly understood the story knew that the real miracle wasn't a brilliant computer fix. The real miracle was a mother's endless sacrifice, a son's quiet perseverance, and one life-changing opportunity given at exactly the right moment. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Beyond the Verdict. Your support allows these inspiring stories of hope and humanity to reach even more people who need them today. Speech balloon special request, comment below with the words, "True talent has no status." We'd love to know where you're watching from and whether you believe kindness can change someone's destiny. As the sun set over the city that evening, Victor looked out from his office window with a completely different understanding of success. Wealth could build skyscrapers. Power could command thousands of employees. Technology could transform industries. But character, humility, and compassion remained life's greatest investments. Sometimes the person capable of saving everything isn't sitting in the boardroom wearing an expensive suit. Sometimes that hero quietly walks through the front door beside a hard-working mother carrying cleaning supplies. And when the world finally gives that person a chance, impossible things become possible. That day, one frightened company was rescued not only by intelligence but by hope, proving forever that greatness is never defined by where someone begins, only by the courage they carry inside their heart.